Hey everybody, it's Captain Kyle and I have some very cool Transformers animated style knockoffs, 4 of them to show you today. Transformers animated definitely had some very cool stylized robots. These are definitely in that style. And Sky loves animated and she's here to help. Be right back. All right, so these guys are obviously some knockoff slash retools. This one is based on Sentinel Prime. This one is based on Bumblebee. Different color, nice blue color. I'm not sure, he's kind of Ratchet, but a little bit retooled, remolded. And this, I believe, is kind of a modified version of Starscream, but heavily modified. So we might as well start out with the one modeled after that prick, Sentinel Prime. Yes, if you watched the show, you know that Sentinel Prime was kind of a dick to Optimus, kind of an asshole. They didn't call him that on the show because they still made it for kids, but he's not the best character. He kind of came around later, but. So instead of a shovel on the front, a snowplow, this guy's got missiles. He's got like cluster bombs of missiles. He's got these big ass guns on the side, which aren't really detachable. So since he's not Sentinel Prime, I kind of gave him the name of Roadblast. So I don't know, until a better one comes to mind, then I guess Roadblast will do. If you have another idea, please comment. But he's a truck, he rolls back and forth pretty well. Again, not much of a disguise as far as his purpose, because he's obviously there to kick ass, take names, and blow Decepticons. He doesn't have a symbol because he's a knockoff, so he could be a Decepticon for all we know. But he's definitely there to wreck somebody's life, blast somebody's road. Pretty cool in vehicle mode. Does have that anime style. So I'm gonna go ahead and transform him. And the transformation is actually kind of reminiscent of the actual Sentinel Prime. I haven't transformed him in a while, but I'm pretty sure this is similar, if not the same, to his transformation. Now the quality of the plastic doesn't feel super great. These go for about 14 bucks a piece, but it doesn't feel too horrible either. I have definitely felt worse. Didn't sound right. So there he is in bot mode. He's kind of got these stubby little legs, but I don't think that these swing around to give him longer legs or bigger feet. There we go. I popped his waist out, so now he's a little bit taller. Still stubby little legs. But as far as posability, it's actually pretty good. He can do a full toes up Jean-Claude Van Damme. He bends at the knee, moves and swivels at the hip, so he can audition for the Rockettes. He does not twist at the waist. His arms can move forward and back, and because of part of the transformation, you can kind of move him out to the side. Bends at the elbow, the fists don't move. So he's a little limited in the arm mobility. The head, I mean, it does turn, but with all this shit in his way, I don't see much point of that turning. He's got these missile launchers and these honkin' arm cannons. And he does not have any type of double checking foot swivel, but he's still, even if you spread his legs a bit for a more dynamic pose, he's still pretty stable. So that is the knockoff version of Sentinel Prime. I call him Roadblast. You can call him whatever you want. You can even call him late for dinner. I don't give a shit. And here's a shot of him next to the original Sentinel Prime, so you can see the scaling, and as you can see, he's a mite bit bigger. All right, next, let's look at the Bumblebee style. Now, he looks a lot like Bumblebee, kind of the cop car type thing. He's got these big ass guns on his tires, which the tires still roll and the guns are stationary, so these can roll without any problem. And you can see on the bottom, he kind of transforms like Bumblebee from animated. I don't know if that's even close to Bumper Robinson's awesome job on that show. He's a blue car, which is kind of nice. I like the blue Beetle. You could even kind of call this Glyph, but yeah, look at the face first. A pretty cool anime style car. Pretty much if you know how to transform Bumblebee from the Transformers animated series, you'll pretty much be able to figure out this guy. So there he is, a blue version of Bumblebee. Trying to remember the name that I came up for this guy, because came up with my original one was Breakneck, but yes, I came up with Speed Trap for this guy because he's, you know, the fuzz, speed traps. What can you do? So as far as posability, very similar to the original Bumblebee. If you carefully maneuver his legs, he can almost kind of do this pathetic attempt at a Jean-Claude Van Damme. He does have these knee joints because of the plates on the back of his legs. They don't work wonderfully. Part of the transformation is him twisting, so he can twist at the waist. The arms, I mean, his shoulders kind of tap into the back plates, but if you're careful, you can maneuver the arm into the side. He bends. Ooh, I should probably take out his fists. That might be good. It won't look quite so idiotic that way. So he's got fists here that they don't twist, but you can see he can bend. He doesn't have any hand weapon, but he's got these two honkin' shoulder cannons. So these guys come very well armed, and he can basically, you know, just blast with those. He doesn't have a stinger of any kind. And that's why Glyph is a blue Volkswagen Beetle was a BotCon exclusive. Basically, it was a Bumblebee recolor. And you might say, oh, a Bumblebee recolor in blue, but that face does not look like a female Autobot. I mean, I suppose it could, but it looks more like some really grumpy person who wants to catch you in a speed trap. Pretty cool looking figure. As you can see here, he's a little bit bigger than the Transformers animated version of Bumblebee, but it's all good. This guy, he's yellow. Again, I think he's kind of supposed to be Ratchet, very similar in some parts of the transformation, but it's definitely not an ambulance. It's kind of a truck with these two big honkin' cannons. Again, they have big honkin' cannons on all these things. So he can pretty much shoot up into the sky at Decepticons or aerial Autobots, because they have those now. Or you can just be in rest mode or shoot behind him. I couldn't come up with a really great name for him. I think I kind of settled on Pylon. Almost like a caution thing. These do have some metal pieces, which is kind of neat, but the plastic doesn't feel like something I want to be too rough with. Now, one thing, if you get this guy and you transform him, you got to make sure that the yellow part of the shoulders is facing down before you push these back. Other ways just cause problems. So there he is in his robot mode. Now, very similar looking in a lot of ways to animated Ratchet. And he does have these wings that come out, so maybe he can fly. In fact, I thought of a better name for him than Pylon. How about Wingnut? Maybe he's crazy. So let's talk about his posability. He's almost able, full and you wiggle, do a full Jean-Claude Van Damme, almost, not quite all the way. He actually does bend at the knee. This guy was a little stiff because it's kind of as old as Ratchet. And my joints get stiff after a while, so shut up, you young bots. He does twist at the waist. The arms can swivel at the shoulder very nicely. He's got this really wide range of motion with his elbow, partially due to the transformation. The fists do not twist at all. But the head does turn so he can look around at these cantankerous young Autobots who are making fun of me for being a nut. Now, he doesn't have big honking cannons on his shoulders or anywhere, but it's kind of reminiscent of Bumblebee. You can actually flip around his hand and give him a hand cannon, so he's still pretty well armed. So I'll blast y'all. And in comparison to Ratchet from Transformers Animated, he's a sketch taller. Not super huge, but got a little bit of height on him. So there he is. Yeah, I think Wingnut works for him. Glad I'm doing this, coming up with new names. And finally, we have this guy who is kind of a modified version, I believe, of Starscream. I mean, I don't recall this being in the animated line, this particular vehicle. If I'm wrong, let me know, but I have a case in there full of animated toys, and I don't recall this one. I think he's just very similar to Starscream in transformation, but not in vehicle mode. So he is an air vehicle, he's red, looks like he has molded in kind of guns here, and I've called him Downdraft. Not updraft, Downdraft. Kind of gets depressed. It's like, I'm not really a plane, I'm not sure what I am. Not a bad figure. You can pretty much make him go whoosh, whoosh. I'd see how he rolls, but he doesn't. He does actually come with landing gear. that pops out of the bottom so he can be stable. He doesn't really need the landing gear, but transformation, like I said, it looks similar, I believe, to Starscream. This piece is definitely die cast, whereas the back part is plastic. I mean, all these guys pretty much have different faces than any of their animated counterparts. But there he is. Whoa, and he fell forward. There he is, Downdraft. He does have some big honking cannons on his arms that he can kind of swivel a little bit. So he is armed. His head does turn. His arms move around. The elbow joint is kind of weird. He kind of flexes a lot. I am Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm going to pump you up. So the arms are kind of weird. The legs, he's got the fins on the back. It's very hard for him to do a full toes up Jean-Claude Van Damme. He does have knees, though they're kind of limited in scope. He's got these big nut crunchers on his knee. There is some swiveling back and forth with his feet. So he can be like, come on, I'm gonna fight you. But I don't know if he wants to fight Starscream because unlike the others, he's a tad bit shorter than his animated inspiration. But still, here they are for scaling. So they're a pretty good set if you really like the Transformers animated style and animated line and you're missing toys of that type. These might be good choices to just kind of bolster whichever side you feel has less firepower, because these guys got a lot of it. And like I said, $14 a piece. Too bad. There might be something for shipping. I'm going to put a link in the description to where I got them on AliExpress. It feels like they do have some little bit of die casts in them. And, you know, they're not too bad quality. I would say the plastic is not top tier, but it's not bottom tier. It's middle-ish to high tier. I haven't broken them yet, so. But here they are. Animated Squad. No, we're not making another superhero team. Or are we? Oh, and here's a final shot of all of them with their animated official counterparts. Just again, for scaling. But let me know what you think of these guys. While you're looking at these particular guys, there's some other knockoffs over here that are kind of cool. And of course, like, share, comment. If you'd like to support this channel with a super thanks, that'd be awesome. And if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and do that. Hit that notification bell. We'll see you next time. And as always, have fun and good hunting.